Blog Talk Radio.
Franchise interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 14 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. Well, we're meeting with Kelly Roddy, the CEO of WOWorks. Now, WOWorks was formed in 2020 with a mission to help guests pursue their passions and live their best lives by serving healthy, nutritious, and flavorful meals, along with first-rate hospitality. WOWorks' portfolio consists of Saladworks, Frutta Bowls, Garbanzo Mediterranean, and the Simple Greek. I'm going to talk to Kelly about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we have a great show.
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com. Or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, LLC, and you're listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 14 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. Well, we're meeting with Kelly Roddy, the CEO of WOWorks. Now, WOWorks was formed in 2020 with a mission to help guests pursue their passions and live their best lives by serving healthy, nutritious, and flavorful meals, along with first-rate hospitality. WOWorks' portfolio consists of Saladworks, Frutta Bowls, Garbanzo Mediterranean, and the Simple Greek. Hi, Kelly. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning. How are you? Thanks for having me.
This is my pleasure, Kelly. It's great to have you on this show today. We always like to ask our guests, where are you calling from this morning, Kelly?
I am calling from the great city of Rehoboth Beach, Delaware today.
Oh, nice. Fantastic. And is that where the WOWorks corporate headquarters is located, Kelly?
WOWorks corporate headquarters is in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Okay.
We moved our office there this year in 2021.
Right. Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's terrific. And, WOWorks kind of, just really started, I guess, in 2020. So, I mean, maybe you could talk a little bit about, the origin of WOWorks and, and everything that's happened since, Kelly.
WOWorks was started with this idea that, you know, the world doesn't really need another franchise food holding company. So we thought we would be something a little bit different, and that is, you know, we wanted to put together a holding company of restaurant brands that are good for you. And so, you know, we really have strived to go out and find brands that are where the puck is going. And so we were able to over this past year we started with Saladworks, and we were able to add the Frutta Bowl brand, the Garbanzo Mediterranean Fresh brand, and the most recent was the Simple Greek, another fantastic Mediterranean brand. And so that's how it started, and we, like I said, we only started in fall of 2020, forming the company, and so we're really excited to be where we are today. And so the name the WOW name came from, you know, everybody, you know, has their inspire brands or focus brands or these restaurant brands, or something brands, and we thought we would do something just a little different with, you know, the WOW stands for Watch Out World, and we're doing something we believe is very different than what other brands are doing. So.
Yeah, I think it's very clever, Kelly. I think it's a very catchy name, and I was going to ask you, you know, the origin, you know, of the name, and I think that's terrific. It was interesting, Kelly, because I recently learned on LinkedIn that McDonald's, they're testing this plant-based burger, but you know, it's interesting. I mean, I've been familiar with Saladworks. I mean, I could go back decades ago to like the very first Saladworks. I mean, I guess Saladworks is probably, I imagine, is it the oldest brand of the WOWorks brand? I mean, was it like 35 years now? I mean, that's an incredible number, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the oldest of the brands that we own today, and you know, everyone is working on a plant-based product because that is where the puck is going, and so So, but we like to say we were plant-based when before plant-based was cool, you know. So.
Which is true, right?
Yeah,
that's fantastic. I think that's terrific. So maybe, you know, from your perspective, Kelly, you know, why is now the right time? You kind of hit on some of them, but why is now the right time to form WOWorks? And maybe you could talk a little bit about, you know, some of your goals over the next, you know, couple of years.
Yeah. So. Why now is the time is, you know, Americans simply, you know, don't want to cook at home anymore. Every single meal.
That's right.
You know, the millennials are the millennial population is the most, you know, educated around the food they're putting into their bodies, and they truly do look at, they do look at food as fuel. And they're more cognizant of, you know, what they put in their body every single day. And there's a growing consumer health awareness and demand that's created a paradigm shift. And so, you know, the big brands that maybe aren't as good for you are trying to get there. And we thought we would build a company that really focuses on clean food and, you know, food and you know, people those people who are quickly educating themselves around what they put into their bodies. They care about the ingredients, and they care about literally every single thing they're putting into their bodies. We've created brands that, if you are vegan or if you have a Whole30 lifestyle, or depending on whatever lifestyle you want, or if you choose to be healthy most of the time, but sometimes you want to be a little decadent and put a little more dressing on your salad, you have the ability to do that as well. And so, you know, never has it been more important to have the ability to customize and personalize, you know, your meal. And so, so we've created that we've created WOWorks as, you know, a holding company that every brand that we own and anything we bring into the portfolio in the future will be focused on, you know, how do you do it better how do you do it with a wow? How do you let's say we were to buy a taco company, we would only
right.
use a taco company if it was clean food and
sure.
People were putting, our guests were able to put, healthy items into their body.
Right. And it sounds like, and you don't have to say, Kelly, but that's kind of in the works, it sounds like, isn't there? You kind of mentioned in the introduction, that, WOWorks is looking to bring in some more brands into WOWorks, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've been talking to other brands really for the last couple of years, and it has to be a good match, right? It has to be a brand that we either is clean and has a superfood element, or we can get it there,
Right.
And because we do believe that the growing population, that's what they're going to demand, and
right.
They're eventually going to walk away completely from foods that aren't good for you, and like I said, other restaurant brands are trying to figure out how to get there. We're already there, and so we have other things besides plant-based products, but if you have a plant-based diet, you can eat most of our menu items, and so
that's fantastic.
So absolutely, we are definitely where the puck is going, and we have 4 brands today. We'd love to get by the end of 2022. We'd like to double that. We'd like to get to 8 brands.
That's amazing. It's one of the things I learned from the millennials, Kelly, is, again, Saladworks was way ahead, before, the millennials were probably even just born. But, that, eating healthy is, I guess we could say it's cool. I come from the Kentucky Fried Chicken generation or the McDonald's generation. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of benefits to, of course, eating healthy. It gives you energy throughout the day, and as you said, you feel good about yourself, don't you? You're not as tired. So there's certainly so many benefits to all the brands that you have in the WOWorks portfolio, isn't there? Yes.
It's our brands. They have a common DNA, and we view food as not just a way to sate your appetite, but it's rather fuel, stoke the passions of our guests and help them live their best life. And so that's our view on food.
Yeah, that's terrific. I was reading, Kelly, about the, there's an alarming statistic. 1 out in 6 kids could still face hunger this year. And WOWorks is involved in this program, that I thought, maybe you could talk about. It's called No Kid Hungry, and, how you got involved in that and how that's going.
Well, I mean, so we are, we're in obviously the restaurant business. We serve meals for people, and, because of our association with food and, our mission, and, we strive to be original in everything we do so we can deliver wow moments everywhere, a Saladworks or a Frutta Bowl or any of our Simple Greek or wherever any of our brands are represented. We think we can create wow moments. And part of that is, giving back to our community.
Right.
And so, we want to be a wow place to work, a wow place to dine, a wow place to, for franchisees to invest their money. But we also want to be a wow place to live. And supporting our communities is really, really important to us. And to think about the food insecurity that is out there in America today, and is alarming. And I don't think that the general public understands that. That there are that many kids every single day not sure where their next meal is going to come from. And we depend, tremendously on our school systems to feed our children. They give them sometimes a breakfast, but definitely their lunch every day.
Right.
And so, how do we make sure they have meals on the weekends and during the summer and when they're not at school? And that dinner when you go home from school, how do we make sure that these kids can, know where their next meal is coming from? And so, so we all of our brands have really worked hard, this this over the last couple of years to raise funds because, they because of the partnerships that they have with the schools and with other, food banks and other communities that, they can stretch that dollar. And so for every dollar we raise is 10 meals for, a child somewhere. And, our goal is to raise enough money to provide at least 1 million meals a year. And so we'll definitely exceed that this year for sure.
That's wonderful. I think it's a wonderful program. How can your customers team up with Saladworks to support No Kid Hungry, Kelly?
Yeah, and you could go to a Saladworks, a Garbanzo Mediterranean Fresh, a Frutta Bowl, or the Simple Greek, and in any of these restaurants you can donate at the register, or you can go to our website. You go to any of our websites. You go to saladworks.com or fruttabowl.com or WOWorks.com, WOWorks USA.com, and it
That's
will
great.
Take you. You can get to a link and contribute, and we hope everyone believes in this mission and this ambitious goal to feed children across the U.S. and stop food insecurity. And so we hope anybody that hears this would go and support it in any way you can.
That's wonderful. We were mentioning earlier, Kelly, 35 years for Saladworks. I mean, that's an impressive number, in franchising, just and in business in general. How is Saladworks celebrating their 35th birthday this year?
So, what we did is we created a menu contest, and so for Saladworks, being around for 35 years, we thought, hey, how cool would it be? Everyone that comes in wants their salad a little bit different. We do have signature items, but the people want things how they want it, when they want it, where they want it, right? And we want our salad.
Sure.
And you have the ability to, in our brands, to you're your own unique self, and so you're going to build a salad just how you want it, right? And the ingredients that you want on it. And so, but everybody has their way they like to do things. And so we put a contest together, and then we had, a celebrity panel, and that, of chefs and kind of local celebrities in the Philadelphia area where Saladworks, so Philadelphia, New Jersey area where Saladworks really got its start, and we selected like salads that we put we're gonna put them on our menu for a limited time, and so we thought that would be something that would be fun to do and recognize people who have followed us and been a guest and been a part of the family for so many years, and then they get their salad. They can tell all their friends, hey, this is my salad.
That's great. And
so anybody who buys that salad gets 35 points on their guest engagement loyalty program.
That's fantastic. As you said, Kelly, it's a lot of fun.
Cool way to celebrate our birthday. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's a great way to celebrate your birthday by giving opportunities and things to other people. Right.
That's terrific. How big is your industry, Kelly? I mean, it's safe to say, you are certainly part of a big industry, and, you kind of hinted, but, if you could talk a little bit about plans for expansion.
Yeah, obviously it's, hundreds of billions of dollars in the restaurant. People are eating every day, and so more and more people are eating out, and so it's, a very, very large business, and we think that based on, what we've discussed earlier, where we think the puck is going, we think, going after and focusing on good for you brands, clean food for fuel, that there's a lot of opportunity in a lot of segments. And so we have the most Saladworks, or we have the most salad units of any chain in the U.S. right now and growing.
Wow.
Frutta Bowl is this exciting brand that we think is, in this really hot category of acai and pitaya, and, with smoothies, and it's just basically you're eating fruit, right? And so
right.
Very, very good for you, clean food. And everything in our Mediterranean brands are fresh from scratch and no preservatives, and just very, very, very good for you as well. And so, we think that is only going to grow. Each of these brands are on fire from a growth standpoint. And, we're in a really difficult time in our country with the pandemic. And I think people are wanting to make sure everything they put in their body is food safe and good for you, and we want to keep ourselves as healthy as possible. And so our brands are, have explosive growth right now. And so we are super, happy to be in this segment. We think we can lead the way and become the world's largest food-based and good for you, portfolio of brands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's wonderful. And as you were saying earlier, Kelly, there's been so many changes in your industry since COVID. What's been one of the most interesting things that's happened to you since launching WOWorks?
Well, we've seen a major shift in the way people want to get their food, right? And so customization we talk about customization. That's something that, how you want your food to be made, and you can make it just how you want it. Personalization is not just how I want my food made, but where I want my food delivered. Do I want to go in the restaurant and be communal and have, dine with my friends or my family, or do I just want to swing by on the way home and pick up my food and take it home? Or do I want my food delivered to me? I'm working from home now. I want my food brought to me. I'm not going out to lunch anymore with my office mates. I'm working from home, and I'm working through the day, and I want my food brought to me. Or I'm tired after a long day of doing what we do all day, either working or however we're spending our lives.
Right.
So we need that fuel at the end of the day, and we want to sit on our couch and have it brought to us. And so, so that's what's changed. Is, when people used to go to restaurants, they used to go out to restaurants, which they always will probably do.
Right.
But a full third, if not more, of the business is takeaways. So people are either having food brought to them, or they're coming by and getting it, taking it home. They're not dining in restaurants anymore, and so that that changes the game for us. Do our dining rooms need to be as big? Do we need as much seating as we need to have? We're obviously there's a lot more food leaving the restaurant and packaging now. So how do we make sure that that packaging is sustainable? And so it's thinking about things just a little bit differently, right? How do you keep your food fresh? Because not all food travels well, right? And so
that's true.
How do you make sure that you get that same experience from your couch that you would get, sitting in one of our restaurants? And so that's been the biggest surprise. Is we expected it to change. We did not expect it to change this quickly, and so that's happened since we've created, WOWorks. And so that's probably been the biggest surprise, is how that shifted, and we believe will be shifted permanently.
That's terrific. It seems like technology, I guess, has been a very big part of, what you're describing too, Kelly. With, I guess like the labor shortages, like I know that a lot more restaurants today are using, kiosks, of course, and mobile apps and things like that. So I guess that's kept things interesting as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, obviously you can't do this unless you have a really good tech stack. We fortunately had started working on this, knowing, kind of looking around the corner, saying more and more people are going to want food brought to them. It was already a trend that was happening, but it was, it had gotten up to maybe 10% of sales in some locations and 5 or 6 in most, and now it's 35 to 40% of a restaurant sales today. And so, fortunately, we had started down the path of working out, master service agreements with all of the big delivery players, and we're still working on improving our technology. We think we improved our technology dramatically over the last really 2 years, but I think we're about to roll out even additional technology that will probably double our efficiency, and I think we'll see our online ordering and food delivery, increase by another 20-30% over the next 12 months.
That's incredible. That's really it's amazing. So, what types of characteristics, Kelly, do you look for? Do you want when you're meeting with a prospective franchisee? What's most important to you?
I mean, I think you want someone who wants to be engaged, right? And so, the best franchisees are really franchise partners. These people invest their life savings sometimes into a business, and they pour their heart and soul into it, and they work their tails off every day, and them and their families. And so you want people who are passionate, who they care about what they do every single day. They have a natural tendency to want to serve. We serve our team members because we want people to have a great place to work. We serve our guests every day. We want them to have a wow experience when they come into our restaurants, and we serve our communities. And if people are more service minded, they do better in franchising. And they have a passion for those things. They don't have to be the biggest extrovert in the world. They just have to care, and that will, translate into a great Saladworks, Frutta Bowl, Garbanzo, the Simple Greek. That passion for serving others will make you successful. We have a great business model, so that if you if you take care of those things and you have a passion for serving, then your top line sales will be good. And we have very low food costs compared to others in our industry. And so if you control your costs and take care of your guests and focus on wowing people every day, then you can be successful in this business.
That's terrific. You've been involved in franchising for some time now, Kelly. So when I have someone on the show like yourself, I have to ask, what advice would you give to our listeners in their to buy a franchise? It seems like there's so much out there today, in terms of systems and industries and things like that. So a lot of our listeners in the early phases, they're confused because there's just so much to choose from. So, from everything that you've learned up to this point, what advice would you give to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise?
So, I would say, first of all, pick an industry or a segment that you're really passionate about. So if you're passionate about healthy lifestyles or passionate about food, then, look for a franchise like ours. If you're passionate about animals, there are franchises that, more geared towards, taking care of pet daycares and things like that. There are different types of franchises, but find something you're very, very passionate about. Yeah. And then vet the franchisor. What do the unit level economics look like? Do they focus on the profitability of a franchisee? It is, in the world we're living in today with, commodity prices going up and supply chain issues and labor shortages, you gotta be focused on how do you, if costs are going up, how do you offset that every single day? And so if you're not looking, if the brand is not talking about unit level economics, you have to dramatically improve your unit level economics every year just to stay kind of even. Right. And so there's a lot of initiatives that we're working on all the time, negotiating better deals for our franchisees, et cetera. So, you want to find brands that really focus on unit level economics. And then, so if you're passionate about it and they have good unit level economics, then, what's the history of the company? Where are they in their life cycle? Are they growing? Are they declining? And, you want to be a part of it. Like we said earlier, where's the puck going? And so, 75% of the workforce are the people who eat out for lunch, right? And 75% of that workforce is, going to be millennials in the next couple of years. And so, so they do care about what they put in their bodies. And so in our world, we we have brands or where the puck is going. They're going to be growth brands. And so I think you want to, figure out where, what's going to be consumer demand in 5 years. If you look around the corner, you can see people are going to care more about their lifestyle. People are going to be, probably working from home more. And people are going to be, I think, more cognizant of, what they're putting into their bodies if you're looking at restaurants. And so I do think there's, a place for a lot of different types of brands out there, but not all franchisors and the brands are where the puck is going. And then the last thing I would say, find a franchisor with high integrity and that is, focused on, you have to make money, right? We're all
sure.
Make money. You have to keep the company profitable. And in my job, I'm responsible. I'm the steward of these brands. I'm making sure that we're doing the right things for long-term growth for the brands and protecting the integrity of the brands and just having a culture that is high integrity where we don't put up with any, nonsense, and we have respect for other people. And so I think, finding a company that has high integrity and a great culture, I think those are the things that you want to do because they're not all like that.
Yeah, it's great advice, Kelly. And I love the analogy. I don't know if you're a hockey fan, but where's the puck going? It makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
What direction is the company going in? It's a great analogy. You kind of hinted on some of the last question, but what do the future plans look like then for WOWorks, Kelly? I mean, if you look into that crystal ball, 3 years, 5 years down the road.
Well, I mean, I think my goal is for us to live up to our name. We are WOWorks, and so we have to deliver wow moments everywhere we're enjoyed, and that means we've got a very difficult work environment. We've got to do a great job of focusing on team members and taking care of our team members who take care of our guests. And so, we have a Bow to Wow program. That's our service training program, but we want to wow our guests when they come in. And we can't wow our guests unless we're taking care of our people and wowing our people. And then, we want to wow our partners, our franchise partners. We want to, they're having a difficult time with hiring people and distribution. And, we have to lead them through it. And we have to go out and fight on their behalf every day to make sure that, quite frankly, they get what they need to run their restaurants in a profitable way. So we have to, wow them. And it's a very difficult time to wow franchise partners and your guests and everyone else with labor shortages and, food shortages and things like that. And so, giving them tremendous support through this time and trying to continue to build these brands and make them good for you and healthy. And then we've got to, I think we've got to stay involved in our communities and do the right thing, for our communities as well. And so I think if we can live up to our name and do all those things really well, I think we'll be doing great. And we're going to grow in the meantime. We're going to continue to add brands, and we're going to continue to add units to the brands and make these brands stronger. And so we're already seeing that happen. We can look around the corner to 2022 and see that, what our growth is looking like for each of the 4 unique brands that we have. And we're in discussions with another 4 or 5 brands right now. So and not all those deals will happen and get done, but our goal is to get as many of those into the portfolio because it's a fantastic, mission that we have. And so I think that's the future. You're going to continue to see us grow.
I was going to say, Kelly, is co-branding part of the future as well? I mean, do you see, something like a Saladworks and a Frutta Bowls or a Garbanzo beans next to like a Simple Greek part, like of a same establishment? I mean, I'm sure you've been asked that question in the past, but
yeah. Here's the thing: co-branding is just a great opportunity, right? And so, I think what you're going to see in the future is a change in how we what the different channels of getting your food will be, whether it's delivered or from a ghost kitchen or from a food truck, or we have Saladworks and Frutta Bowls inside of grocery stores, and so while you're there doing your weekly grocery shop? Do you pick up, some Saladworks to take home for dinner tonight? So I think, co-branding is a way to get more Frutta Bowls, for example, out there, because we are, we've started putting Frutta Bowls inside Saladworks. It's basically the same model. We're cobbling together great fruits and vegetables to make a wonderful salad, and and the Frutta Bowl is the same way. It's basically fruit that you're building into a bowl instead of maybe the lettuces, and so you're still creating a very healthy, good for you brand, and you can do it in the same space, on the same line. And so we've introduced that. We've got about a half a dozen Saladworks Frutta Bowl combinations open and on the street, and I expect to see that to grow tremendously over the next 12 to 18 months as well.
What's the best way, Kelly, for our listeners to get more information on WOWorks? Of course, the product or the good, and of course the franchise opportunity itself. Are there any websites you can kind of direct them to?
Yeah, you could go to WOWorks USA.com, and it'll get you to our brands. You could go to eatgarbanzo.com or fruttabowl.com or the Simple Greek, and so you can go to any of our websites to get more information. And we'd love to hear from people who are interested in hearing our story even further.
That's terrific. Well, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed talking to you today, Kelly, and I'd like to already invite you back over the next year or so as you continue to grow, because I think this is a wonderful opportunity at WOWorks.
Awesome. Yeah, let's get together and I'll give you guys an update over the next year or so.
That's terrific. Well, this has been my pleasure, Kelly, and we'll be right back with more franchise interviews. Coming up on segment 2, you're going to hear what every franchipreneur needs to know before buying a franchise. We're going to play a clip from our popular Great Quotes in Franchising podcast right here on Franchise Interviews.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 8 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott, the president of Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, we've been hosting Franchise Interviews many years now, and during that time we've had some incredible quotes on the show. Today's great quote in franchising comes from Tom Scarda, and Tom is a franchise consultant for Franchoice, and he's the author of The Magic of Choosing Uncertainty. And we've had Tom on the show 2 times over the last 14 years, and Tom is great at providing analogies on topics like motivation and entrepreneurship. So today's great quote in franchising is called "It Doesn't Hurt Enough." Well, let Tom explain why.
10 years with Franchoice, helping them to find businesses. And what I find, and you know this from the industry, is that majority of people who look at franchising do not buy a franchise. And the number one reason is fear of the unknown. Yeah. So they go, instead of choosing, at the end of the process, you know, they're looking at great companies because we vet them, we know who's good, who's not, and you can never deny that the companies are not good when you go down the road at looking at them.
Right.
The choice is not what franchise to buy. The choice is the choice between uncertainty and unhappiness.
That's interesting.
And most people go back to the unhappiness, and because there's a comfort in that, right? So at least I get a paycheck. At least I know I have a job. At least I can pay my bills. And I got to tell you, if you think you're on this earth to pay your bills, you're always going to have a mild kind of frustration that goes through your life.
It's very powerful. You know what you said, Tom. You know, you know, we've seen that on the show too. You know, I mean, I've heard numbers like at like 1 out of 100 people will say yes to, you know, going the franchise alternative, or they'll give some kind of like excuse, like, you know, well, it's not perfect, you know. And I remember you even saying this, you know, a long time ago, is, you know, there's not really that always that perfect opportunity. You know what I mean? I mean, there's always. I think the analogy you used a long time ago was, even when, you know, you buy a house, you know what I mean? There's always going to be something with that house that you can always fix, you know what I mean? So there's never that perfect opportunity, and I suspect you get that from a lot of people because they're so terrified of going forward. There's like, well, I don't think this is the perfect opportunity for me. I suspect you probably get that a lot, don't you?
Yeah, and you're right. I think it was in Joe Matthews' great book, Street Smart Franchising.
Yeah.
He talks about that. 1 out of every 100 people that look at franchising actually buy a franchise, and that the thing for me, Marty, is it makes me sad inside, because I talk to these folks that have great backgrounds, they're phenomenal at what they do, and they can easily translate their skills into their own business and really live happily ever after, and they don't, and it's always because of fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm. You use a powerful word, Tom. You know, you used happy. You know, and I think it's interesting that how many people there are out there that are, you know, working day to day, and they're just, you know, as you said, they're paying their bills, you know, but they're not happy, are they? You know, and I know a lot of those people who are working for, let's say, the city, and you know, they're going to get their pension at some point, but they just aren't happy. And I can't imagine working 40 years and not being happy, and you wonder, you know, it's really that powerful, and that's why I think your book is so important. You know, the magic of choosing uncertainty is that, you know, you lived it, haven't you? I mean, you know, I'm sure, you know, you've been through all of those things that a lot of your clients certainly have going through their head, don't they?
Yeah, I've been in their shoes. And that's why I kind of enjoy I love what I do, because I'm really able to speak to people on a, you know, a one-to-one basis that, you know, I not only have empathy, I've been there, I've done it, and you know, maybe it's not for everybody, and that's fine. I get that. Not everybody should buy a franchise, believe me.
Right.
But you know, but when you're there and you're on the cusp, and you know, it's the 11th hour and you have to make a decision, and you run away from it, it's really, really sad. And from my perspective, it is. And I think from their perspective, I just read an article last week that said 86% of Americans want to change their job today.
Wow, that's incredible.
And I think it was
86%.
86% of Americans want to change their job today, and probably maybe 1% will. You know, get out of the corporate rat race. A lot of people will change jobs, and they're going from, you know, one fire to another fire, and they really don't solve anything. But I'll tell you that, you know, a great story that I share with everybody, and I think that it will go very, very well here. If you can imagine for a second, there's these two guys sitting on a porch, like two old hillbillies, right? And they're drinking their sarsaparilla, and they're rocking in their rocking chairs, and one of them has a hound dog, and the hound dog's sitting on the floor, and every once in a while that hound dog lets out a yelp.
Yeah.
So one of these guys, one guy says to the other guy with the dog, "What's wrong with your dog?" And he said, "Nothing's wrong with the dog." So he said, "Well, why does he yelp like that?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, he's laying on a nail." And he said, "Well, why doesn't he get off the nail?" And he said, "Well, I guess it just doesn't hurt bad enough."
Wow, that's a great analogy. We're gonna have to use it. We have this great quotes in franchising podcast. We're gonna have to put that one in there. I haven't heard you tell that story, but I think that's I mean that's a great one. I mean, it show you know how we're willing to live our lives like that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It frustrates the heck out of me. And you know, in the book, I give people what I call fuel for change, which are different exercises at the end of a couple of different chapters where you can go through changing your mindset about things.
Yeah.
And you realize after a while, all your stuff, all your baggage in that fear department essentially comes from your parents and from your upbringing telling you, no, don't do that, be careful, and if you lose, you're a loser. And that's not the case at all, because when you take a chance and if it doesn't work out for some reason, there's more life lessons in that failure than there is in any success. And I can tell you that directly from my smoothie experience.
Sure.
There's so much more to learn when you're trying to climb out of a hole than standing on top of a hill.
Yeah, and it's it must be interesting. I'm one of those people, as I mentioned, Tom. My mom is still waiting for me to go apply for the post office. I said I'm going to be 50 years old in 3 years. And I just recently completed my doctorate degree last year, and I think she's still waiting for me to go work for the post office. She just tried to instill that in me as a kid, and maybe that was my reason I went the other direction. It just didn't seem gratifying to me, not to pick on anyone who works for the post office, but I wouldn't have had that. And I love the word you use. You use this word fuel, and we had the great Michael Gerber on our show, and I know you're a fan of his as well.
If you'd like to hear that whole interview with Tom Scarta, all you have to do is go to franchiseinterviews.com. You can go to our franchises listed alphabetically page, and you can find Tom Scarta there. Or you can go to franchise interviews listed by category, and you can go to our franchise experts page and listen to the interview there. And finally, we just want to thank everyone for making this Great Quotes in Franchising podcast such a big hit. And we'll see you again soon with another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising from Franchise Interviews. Take care.